It's easy to be cynical right now. We've got wars being started, monsters being pardoned, and more lies than I could count on 100 hands, all to cover up the elites of our world doing the worst of the worst. We can't find solace, and we don't want solace, because if we let ourselves feel too good, then we'll forget, and if we forget, then who'll remember? We think we're alone. Not just personally, but historically. In a bindagillion ways, these times are unprecedented. We have internet, we all know what they're doing, we've all turned against it, but we haven't stopped them. It's their goal to keep us cynical and stupid, fighting over things that don't matter, and I, like anyone else during this, have had my moments of doubt. I still believe in people, but when you're hammered with this much propaganda telling us that at our core is a demon and we're no better than them, then it's easy to believe it. I watched this movie for the hell of it. I've been wanting to check it out, but let me tell you, it was like looking into a mirror. This Batman film based on a comic from the 80s was the most cathartic thing I've seen in ages, because it's not about saving the world and it's not about giving up. It's about saving who you can. Yo, I'm Michael McCullough, and I'm not as self-serious as that first minute made me look. Here's why The Dark Knight Returns is the story we need right now. We're used to Gotham City being awful, but in this world we kinda miss that place. Batman is retired, and in his wake there's nothing. The Mutant Gang is this massive, organized group of teens and 20s modeled after the punk style. We all know punk, it was the rebellion of the 80s, but what are these anti-authority organized people doing? What's the rebellion? Nothing, a jar of air. It's just robbery and random violence. They're a group of murdering scumbags with a theme. They got no role model to get around, so they latch onto the man who makes them feel strong. It's easier to feel like a monster than a chump.
So why do you retire?
We don't get much of a reason at first, but we do get a brief explanation later on. At first you think it was just the wear and tear of losing, but there is a reason. The 80s government isn't as bad as ours, but we learned that it was government intervention. They didn't like superheroes because superheroes don't listen to them. Wonder Woman went back to her island. Superman began working for the government, and any superhero who didn't comply was stopped by force. The Fed couldn't handle the people loving anyone but them, and with the superheroes gone and a government who doesn't care, they found a king of the mud. This is a bleak start, and it's the tone I expected from what I heard about this comic. People describe this thing like it's the most cynical story ever written, but like, I don't know, are you babies? That's too far. But I don't understand how anyone could possibly watch this and think it's a cynical story. It's got some cynical elements, and the beginning is straight up bleak, but maybe it's just a matter of time period. This movie dropped in 2 parts between 2012 and 2013, and that might be the issue. Were things perfect then? No, but they weren't in hell either. People could still believe in their government, at least to an extent. Now all the Ep stuff was still happening under their noses, but ignorance can somewhat be bliss. They were still living a pretty lie. I guess it's like when I was 4 or 5 on a plane, I watched a few episodes of King of the Hill, and I remember being appalled by how horrible these people were. Never seen an episode since, so I'm going off memory, but there was some girl at their house who was basically a servant and was about to move out. Then the episode was about them sabotaging her, and obviously in the context of the story, it was treated as this bad thing, but I was used to Phineas and Ferb on my edgy days Johnny Test, so seeing horrible stuff treated in such a casual way, I just didn't understand. That's, I think, what happened in 2012 when they released this movie. Lots of people liked it, but for some people, for a lot of people, the world it lived in was just too cynical to see the hope underneath. Now I'm begging for a government this good. Sure, Ronald Reagan, yes, just straight up Ronald Reagan. Sure, Ronald Reagan is self-obsessed and greedy, but I would kill for an elite of self-obsessed, greedy people next to what we've got. As I said, this world is a bleak one, and things get so bad one day that Batman decides to come back. His methods are brutal, he doesn't kill, but he's doing something. There are 4 main antagonists in this movie because it's based on a 4-issue comic series, and each one represents a side of the world of the 80s and the world of today. Two-Face, the Mutant Gang, the Joker, and Superman. Yes, Superman is a villain. No, he's not like Homelander. Before we get to Two-Face, I have to talk a little about the world. The real antagonist of this movie is the overbearing cynicism. People are on the verge of giving up, and some of them already have. We don't get a lot on Carrie Kelly, the Robin in this movie, because that's just a consequence of telling a story in 4 issues, but here's what we do know. From the moment she gets into the Robin suit, she's extremely acrobatic and knows how to fight. But when we meet her, she's doing nothing. This girl could have started helping people at any point, but she didn't because she didn't know how. Along with a few others, she's one of the first people rescued in Batman's initial saving spree. He's what inspires her to get to it. I'd call her the first real glint of optimism under the bile that encompasses these first 40 minutes. Despite the controversy around Batman, he becomes this symbol for the people, the first bit of hope they've had in a while, and that sets the stage for our first villain. Two-Face. I already said that this movie starts cynical, and I wasn't lying. You probably know the backstory of Two-Face. It's the same in every Batman. He's the best of us, this handsome, smart, well-spoken man who worked against elements of his psychology to help the people of Gotham City. Then he's burned, and when people can't stand to look at him, he snaps. Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face. But this story starts at the end. Our first shot of Harvey Dent isn't of the horrible, ugly face that we know. It's him staring in a mirror in shock at his normal, perfect mug. Using skin graft technology, his appearance was restored, and as he's let go, he tells the people of Gotham City that he wants to do right by them. But it doesn't last. Gathering a crew, he plants a bomb in the city with plans to blow it up. He covers his face completely, and Batman theorizes that he must have destroyed it again, that he's probably scratched it to hell, just not used to being normal. We get this fun action scene as he defuses the bomb and battles Two-Face, and when Batman rips off the mask, the fun goes away. Nothing's changed. He has his perfect, handsome face, and you think at first that he's going to say that Two-Face was the real him, but it's sadder than that. He can't even believe that he looks normal. We get a quick glimpse of himself in his eyes and both sides are burned. He begs Batman to have his laugh at the ugly wretch sitting in front of him. Two-Face is dead and the monster almost misses him. Again, expecting a doom and gloom movie, I watched this from a cynical perspective and got what I wanted. I think this part is why the stories earn this reputation, because this moment exists to shake you. There's no quick fix to how things are, at least not really. We can't hide from the world we live in, there's only doing what we can. That's what Batman learned at the beginning. That's what Two-Face realized here, and that's the truth that this first enemy needs to teach us. You can only run for so long. So what else is there? Well, there's fight, that's what Batman's doing, and most everyone else is frozen, so is that all? No. There's one more option. Let's say you're in a cage with a few others. Every day a monster shows up and eats one of you, so what move do you make? No one chooses to freeze, but that might be you. If you don't, then you'll either run away or fight the monster. But there is one more option. Throw the other guy in front of you. Like I said, good people seem outdated. Good people like Batman are vilified, and what are you gonna trust, the government? Get real. Speaking as a 20-year-old, there's a bit of a hope vacuum in my age range. Not sure if you've noticed. They've got us fighting over big old nothings, and we're doing it. We rally ourselves around different internet personalities and do stupid idiot wars for morons. The only war in history where you could decisively win and you'd still lose. These people our generation is latching themselves onto don't want them to grow up because they haven't grown up themselves. They want them to grow sideways. Exist in the system and get rid of the bad people. It's like a game of ego agario. You shouldn't expand what we've got. You shouldn't rally together. Just scorched earth the other people so you can feel good about having done that. The Mutant Gang isn't a stand-in for any specific group. It's meant to be over the top. It's run by a dude with shark teeth and spikes for nipples. That is only the second strangest rack in this movie. Where do you get your pasty? The Mutant Gang is the logical extreme of all these stupid idiot moron groups. It's an exaggerated picture of where troubled teens can drift to when they've got nothing else to give them hope. In the first fight, Batman and Robin are barely able to catch the leader, but it doesn't do a thing. They want to believe that these people latched onto him for the power, for the prestige, but they didn't, and they won't scatter just because he's behind bars. They picked him because there's nothing else, and that's when Bruce realizes what he's been doing wrong. With the help of Jim Gordon, he breaks Spike Nipple, that's what I'm calling him, out of prison, while Robin tricks as many of the gang as possible into going into the same spot that Spike Nipple will emerge from. Then, this time, Batman beats him in front of them. Back to the 3 Fs. A lot of them freeze up and quit the whole life. Some stick to their ways and start new, smaller gangs, but a part of them, a select group, decides to fight. They have someone to follow. These people aren't any better at their core, at least not yet, but not everyone's gonna be some perfect altruist. Everyone's flawed, but if you push them in the right direction, then they can usually swim.
Do not expect any further statements. The sons of Batman do not make speeches. We act.
But the world isn't that simple. We made a dent in the machine, a dent big enough that it noticed. To get things better, there's usually a period where they get worse.
Batman, darling.
Before I can get to the Joker, I have to mention Superman. They're almost yin and yang forms of resistance against the fight against cynicism. And yeah, Superman's fighting the war on drugs on the side of the drugs here. I'll get into it later, but we get the impression in this story that something in him is cracked. Not snapped, not shattered, not broken, but cracked just a little bit. It's easy to roll your eyes and say, another evil Superman, but after a decade plus of seeing evil Superman, the person in this movie is almost subversive because he's so far from that. I see him in a lot of people right now. He's still this fundamentally good man. He's optimistic to some extent and he wants what's best, but he's lost the hope that things can get better. He's sacrificed a belief in the future to keep the good enough. He's the external force of good people who've lost too much hope to fight. Now, you don't need me to tell you that that's not what the Joker is. We get mentions of the Joker throughout the first half of the movie, and we never get much of a motivation for him because of course we don't. He's the Joker. I already mentioned yin and yang. If Superman's the...
Look at this.
I already mentioned yin and yang. If Superman's the external resistance of good people, then Joker's the internal resistance of the worst in all of us. One bad day, right? We already saw with Harvey, we've all got something bad in there, and the Joker is the question of whether we can resist that. Their interaction is short and sweet.
All the people I've murdered by letting you live.
Does Batman kill him here? In the comic, I think it's a pretty clear-cut no, while in the movie, it's definitely supposed to be a yes. But it doesn't matter. Joker says that he wins, that he made Batman lose control, but the fact is that he lost. Even if Batman did lose control there, he doesn't sink into murder, he doesn't sink into guilt. This scene is what motivated me to watch the movie, and on its own it seemed like this big victory point from the Joker, but it's not at all. These politicians and billionaires need and want to believe so badly that we're all like them at our core, because if we are, then they're not evil, they're just winning the game. But I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, that they're just scumbags. One bad day to reduce the sanest man to lunacy. He got Batman to snap. He got Batman to kill him, and that was all. Batman never went back to killing. He didn't quit. The guilt didn't eat him. The Joker, in the end, died for nothing. We aren't like him. We aren't like them, no matter how badly they want us to be. And now comes the ultimate trouble. We found ourselves a role model, and unlike Harvey, we killed the monster under our bed. Now the only monster left is the one looking down on us, and that chimera knows it. This episode is sponsored by me! Buy my book Nisus. 50 years after a failed AI apocalypse, an ex-vigilante finds a piece of the world destroyer and has to find a way to dispose of it while a corrupt government hunts them both. Please, please buy it. I spent 2 years writing and no one bought it. Please, please. I don't think it's controversial to say that half the internet is bots. It's a fact, and as the internet becomes more and more of our world, I've seen a lot of people turn cynical. It's kind of bizarre. I always assumed I was a cynic, but then I say something that even treads on optimism and everyone's shocked. I'll say, most humans are good, and they're like, oh, keep dreaming, pal. The internet wants you cynical. The internet wants you alone because the internet is run by them, and as life becomes less and less about the real world, we see social media full of bots and assume that that's what the real world is. It's not. I've been wearing this hat for the better part of a year, since August, and half the time people bring it up, they ask for stories about all the crazy, insane lunatics who saw my hat and soy jacked. But like, how many people do you think are still defending this? I'd say I get stopped about my hat maybe once every 2 weeks on average, and you know how many people I've had a negative interaction with about it? 0. Shoot, I don't think I've even had a neutral interaction about it. They're like, dude, sick hat, bro. And in the spirit of fairness, I live in Virginia. It's not exactly Mordor, but I see these people talking about the dark hearts of humanity, and I'm like, shut the hell up. Whenever I think about the bots spreading negativity and misinformation throughout the internet, I often wonder about their handlers. What do they think of what they're doing? I'm sure for a lot of them it's just a job, most are scared of repercussions, and at least a few are covering their ass, but I bet some of them sincerely think they're doing the right thing. Not because they like that our government is being ran by nonces, but they've let themselves believe that it wouldn't get better. They let the gov convince them that if they flip 1,000 coins, then they'll always land on tails, so they might as well keep things stable. That's the Superman of this movie, because he's not evil, he's not arrogant, and he sincerely wants to avoid violence, but he's just damaged. He let them make him cynical. We don't get a reason for what happened, what made him this way, and that's almost the best choice they could have made. There's a million different reasons that good people lose themselves, but it doesn't much matter, because as long as Superman allows himself to be this way, then he's the villain. He's forced to go to a war that we cut to occasionally, and the thing ends with a nuclear bomb blowing out the power system. America loses electricity countrywide, and because most of the world has fallen into the governmental cynicism, the entire country falls into looting, murder, and all the worst parts inside of us. Not Gotham. It took one man doing what he could to get a small part of this country together to create a system, and even the commissioner who's been hunting him from the moment she got the job can only stand and watch. Speechless. The president, literally Ronald Reagan, is so embarrassed that he sends Superman. The fight itself almost doesn't matter. It's fun to watch, it's cool to see Batman outsmart Superman, but this one never would have resulted in death. It's a tussle between friends who don't want to hurt each other. Superman is obviously trying not to do anything bad, but when he brings out kryptonite, Batman manages to win. But, after everything, the fight was too much and Batman has a heart attack.
Don't touch him.
This is a weird comparison, but it's almost like the Lorax.
Were you a friend? I think so. I honestly couldn't say.
Batman is dead, and unless we use what he gave us to keep going, unless we care a whole awful lot, then things won't get better. Or is it that simple? At Bruce Wayne's funeral, we spend our time on Superman. He's staring at the grave with a welt on the side of his face, contemplative. He has a brief conversation with Jim Gordon, and then he's finally alone at the grave, aside from a masked figure. In the silence, he turns to walk away, but his stupid, super ears pick something up. A heartbeat under the ground. It's not hard for us to tell that the masked person is Robin, and hiding under her coat, she's got a shovel. Superman stares at her for a long, long time. And as the time wears on, we're forced to ask ourselves, which is he first? A loyal soldier or a good man? Superman winks and walks away. It's like I said, he never turned evil, he never shattered. The optimistic person is still around, and for just a moment, for that moment, the kid came back. He's still working under Reagan, he has an about face, but there are good people. He's among them, and maybe one day the kid can retake the wheel. Batman is alive, but he can't do it on his own anymore. He gathers the sons of Batman so they can continue his work. The story still relates to the Lorax in some small way, but the difference is that first story is about the last shred of hope in a dead world, where this one's about the startling amount of hope we can find if we search. The world isn't dead. We're all still alive, and the only thing more important than tomorrow is that we can do something today. Guess that's it. Like, comment, and subscribe or something.
Crawl till dawn.